I'm going to start with getting ready the yeast. So over here I have 250 of warm milk. We're going to add like a 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. You don't want to add too much because then they are going to burn. Mix that well. Now we are going to add 25 grams of a fresh yeast. If you do not have access to a fresh yeast, you can add 10 grams of dry yeast. And let's mix that and dissolve. We're going to add some of the flour. So here I have a 500 grams of flour, but I'm not going to add the whole thing. I'm just going to make that as a sour cream consistency. Okay, let's see what we're going to have now. I hate that thing. So this I'm going to cover and leave it so it dries really nice. And I like to use the shower heads. I'm going to link them in the description. Okay, and we're going to wait until it dries. So already really nicely got bigger. You can see how nicely it dries, and that yeast, it's working. It is amazing. I love fresh yeast. If you have a chance to buy fresh yeast, don't be afraid of it. It is the best thing ever. I'm going to add the rest of that flour to it. We're going to add 1 egg. We're going to add a pinch of salt. So I'm going to add a little bit of my vanilla paste. Yeah, all right, that's enough, like a half tablespoon. I'm going to keep the milk just in case that flour is a little bit more thick than I want. Okay, and I'm going to mix it with that mixer with those attachments on it. Okay, here we go. Add more milk. So everything depends on how dry is your flour. Sometimes the flour is moist, so you just have to play around. Sometimes recipes will tell you add this much of the milk, add this much of the flour, and then you ending up questioning yourself. I did everything according to the recipe. Why it's not the same consistency they are telling me? So adjust your liquid according to the flour. Mix it well for a nice few minutes. This is the consistency you want. Nice and not too thick. It's kind of almost runny, but still holding their consistency. Be very gooey and sticky. Alright, see? It's like that sticky. Okay, so let's cover our dough, our pancakes. So I am going to cut those apples in like a rough small wedges and then a little slice. So basically like that, thin slices. You don't want them too thick. So I have 2 apples over here. So apples are cut. Let's go to our dough. Wanna see something? Ooh, see how much it rises within a half an hour. Now we're going to add our apples into here. I know it doesn't look like it's a lot of apples, but it's going to be enough for those pancakes. I don't want too much apples because then they are going to take over the dough, and I don't want that. Mix that See, it was all the air. That's why I didn't add too much of the apples. Okay, let's go and fry that. So let's warm our pan, and we have to use greasiness on that one. Low the on. Okay. Woo. And we're going to drop this in here. I'm going to try to make them as flat as possible. It's not going to be that easy, but just water that spoon and flat it out. Okay, it doesn't have to be equal. All right, and we need to move on with the next one. Cover that so it gets heat evenly, and let's cover. Let's flip them and see. Ooh, they look really good. I remember when my aunt was making them, but she was making them on like a deeper, like on the deep frying, not like on the flat pan. I'm just going to flip them and keep them for a little bit more because I don't want them inside to be raw. I'm going to finish them and I'll show you the final result. Alrighty guys, they're all finished. So let me put, this one is hot. I'm going to take something that is colder because that's too hot. Ooh. All right. Going to have two. Okay, not waiting. You have to do. I have the confectional sugar. I'm going to add some on it. Too much. Let's have a breakfast. Let's try the Polish amazing pancakes. It's like my childhood when I was in my aunt's house in Warsaw. I'm gonna show you something, how fluffy they are. They're just basically nice and fluffy inside with amazing apples. Oh my god. I cannot resist. Alright guys, second recipe I'm going to show you are going to be a Polish crepe. So for that I am going to make my home quick strawberry jam. So I already washed those strawberries, but first, before I start cutting them for jam, I'm going to choose the prettiest ones looking for decoration. I'm sure this one and this one. Two of them I'm going to save just for decoration. These ones I am going to cut them in smaller pieces. The less strawberry to add to those strawberries, roughly like around 3 to 4 tablespoons of sugar. And the thing is, why I'm doing my own strawberry jam, because this way I can adjust the sugar to my liking. Then I know it's nothing else, no chemicals, just strawberries and sugar, and the way I like it. One more thing to my strawberries, it is a vanilla bean paste. I will find it on Amazon. I got it on the Thrive Market. Okay, like a half tablespoon of that paste. It's pretty strong paste, so you don't need too much of it. We are going to warm until release the juices, and it's going to be a nice consistency of a jam. I'm going to turn it on. Start first on a high heat and then we will lower the heat. So roughly over here I have 2 packets of strawberries, so I think that was around 15 strawberries. And the extra 3 I saved, actually 3, not 2, on the side. Okay, so now we're going to make our crepes. So I'm going to use 3 eggs. Another thing, we're going to use a pinch of salt and my favorite vanilla bean paste. Also not too much, just like this one, like not even a half, maybe a half of tablespoon of that. So we are going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Okay, let's mix it well. Now let's add a little bit of the flour. It's easier for me to mix that first. So I've learned one thing: 1 tablespoon of a flour, it's roughly 1 crepe. So depending on how many crepes you want, this many tablespoon you add. That's the easiest for me transition of how much flour I need to add to it. Okay, so okay, that is going to be chunky, so don't be scared. And to this I am going to slowly add milk. So how much milk? Until I have the consistency of the one that I want. This is for you to have enough of crepes that you want, so you do not end up with too many or too little. That's why I add milk slowly and see the consistency of my crepes. When my grandma was doing crepes for us, and some of the crepes were like really thick, not like thin, but thick. And as a kid, we could eat only like 1 pancake, like we could eat only one crepe like that, and we were like stuffed up. And she was like, if you do not eat them all, I'm not going to cook for you anymore. So we end up with eating the crepes, going outside, running around her backyard, going back and eating more. This is how we try to make our grandma happy and us to have her cook. It's perfect. See? You want to see that kind of like runny dough, thick soup, like a creamy soup. Alright guys, let me show you the update on that strawberry jam. See, I didn't add any fluid, and this is how much it releases the juices. So I'm just going to let that run warm. I'm going to let that cook for a little bit longer so it kind of gets thickened. Let me check the sugar adjustments, if I like it or I want that more sweet. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar. Like 1 tablespoon more. I like my own homemade jam because this is the way I know it's enough sugar to my liking and it's not like overwhelmed with sugar. Polish cooking or Polish baking, it's not overwhelmed with sugar. Alright, let's try now. Okay, that's enough. There's one more thing with the crepes. Of course, I forgot something. We need to add butter. It is a melted butter. It's like 2 tablespoons of a melted butter. Let's add that to here. And I'm going to mix it well. It gives you a better texture when you have that butter in. and it tastes nice and buttery. And another tip for adding the butter, you don't need to add so much grease to your pan when you're frying those crepes. All right, it looks like it is good. All right, so this is the consistency you want. Let's warm it up. Let me drink. I found a new drink. It's not Polish, but it's from Australia. It is amazing. I'm going to link that below. So for my crepes, and also I make over here my Polish pancakes, I use only one pan, and this is the pan that I use for it. So for the first crepe, I'm going to use a little bit of the grease, just tiny bit, not even 1 teaspoon, just to have that smear on. It looks like it is nice and warm. You don't want this too cold and you don't want this too hot. Okay, let's start making them. So I don't use any extra tools to make my pancakes. I just add them in and I just swirl the pan with them. And I add enough to cover it. I like them thick. I like to have them thin, not thick. Don't do it like my grandma did it for us. Leave it as it is, don't touch it. I like to flip them when I don't see enough of a fresh dough on the pan. So like you can see, it's getting like disappear. Okay, now you can touch a little bit. And if you're good with it, you can flip it. That for at least a minute, or if you want them a little bit more crispy, keep them for longer. But remember, if you're going to leave them as it is for too long, they're going to harden up and they're going to be stiff and they're going to break when you try to fold them with the filling. So this is what I want to see on the other side. And that's it. They're done. They are all done. Let's see. I wonder if my calculation will work right. So I added 16 tablespoons of flour. Let's see. So actually I did 11 and a half, almost 12 of them. So kind of roughly. If I would make that more runny, yes, I would have actually 16 of them. So just FYI. So if you want can add always more of the tablespoons and play with the consistency. Build our crepes. I'm going to use that small one. And I want to show you, see how nicely thicken up that jam. Ooh, it's so good looking. Okay. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to use all of them. I'm going to just make few, and the rest I'm going to wrap in the plastic foil and leave them in the fridge, and I can use them tomorrow. So, or you can wrap them together and just wrap them in the foil. And then you have a delicious breakfast for the next day. See, they're really quickly to make, except that I made my homemade jam. The only thing that I had to wait a little bit longer to make, but other than that, they are very quick to make. Build our crepes plate. Okay. Of course, I'm not going to eat all of them. It is for my husband. I'm just going to have one of them. Strawberry. Just for decoration. Ready, guys, our crepes are ready. Let's have a breakfast. One of those crepes. Here we go. It is so good. The jam is one of the best thing ever. You have to make your own jam. Don't buy a store bought jam because it is so easy to make. Just cut any fruit they want, add some of the sugar, whatever the amount of you like, and just cook it. If like strawberries are kind of watery, you don't need any extra water, but like apples, add a little bit of the water so they don't burn easily, but not too much. Also, my homemade jam I like to make is with the blueberries. I will see you soon with the next video. If you like the content, subscribe and press the like button, and I will see you soon. See you guys.